Hey, welcome back to the back porch. Today I got two things to show you. Got a letter that Manson wrote. This is actually Cappy's, and it's titled "My Last Will and Judgment." It was a letter that he wrote for the whole family. They all had them. Nobody has them anymore except for me. Manson thought he was going to die. Remember, they gave him the death penalty. He was on death row. So he wrote "My Last Will and Judgment." I'm going to read it to you today. And we're also going to show you this record player up close, because there's people asking questions, and you can just look at it real close yourself. I'll flip it upside down, I'll flip it all around. This was the record player that played Helter Skelter. I've been looking at this thing and I've been thinking about Helter Skelter. Actually, what it is right in the Word. And it's the reason I like Manson so much. The person, the guy, going and visiting with him, talking to him on the telephone. Because if Manson knew anything about anything, he knew everything about things that people pay no attention to, you know. And one of those things was semantics and linguistics. And it's all in the name. It's all in the words. You just got to look at the words. When you look at the words, you'll know exactly what they're trying to tell you. So let's look at this record player a little bit more so you can get a better look. You know, people want to look at it real close. I'll get as close as I possibly can today. So let's look at this thing. This piece, recovered after the fire. It sat on the ground, and it survived what the ranch didn't. Most people only know Spahn Ranch through photographs, through stories, through documentaries that keep it at a distance. But this was touched. It was handled. It was used. You're looking at something that existed in the daily rhythm of that place. Music didn't just play on this, it filled the space around it. The ranch wasn't silent. It wasn't frozen in time like history books like to describe it. This record player is a museum piece. In most cities, this would sit behind glass, under lights, with a play card next to it. People would travel, they would pay admission, they would stand there, and they would stare. Instead, it's in my garage, in boxes, on shelves. Pulled out, not for display, but to be handled, to be shown, to be talked about. In a strange way, this place has become a museum. I don't say that to brag. I say it because context matters. Objects like this don't mean anything until someone slows down enough to really look at them. To imagine weight, texture, sound. To see it not as a prop, but as a witness. So I want you to look at it the way you would if it were in your own hands. The wear, the age, the fact that it's still here at all. Because this record player didn't just play music. It reminds us of history isn't abstract, it's physical. And that matters, because what I'm about to show you next exists for the same exact reason. Okay, what I'm about to show you next, right here, well, that's something that almost nobody's seen. Except for the Manson family themselves. They all had a copy. And now I'm the only one that has it. And it's right there. It comes from the collection of Capistrano, and most people don't even know it exists until it's right in front of them. In early 1970, when Charles Manson was given the death penalty, he actually prepared for the possibility that the state would actually execute him. At that time, that wasn't theoretical. It was scheduled. It was expected. So something was written. This was meant to be read publicly if the execution took place. It wasn't private. It wasn't a diary. It wasn't meant to stay hidden. Copies were given to friends, prepared in advance, because the state decides to kill someone. There's no time to reflect afterwards. But the execution never happened. Later, Manson told me that he knew they wouldn't go through with it anyway. And whether that was confidence or ego or something else entirely, it's all up in interpretation. But the writing still exists. And it stopped being about execution and it became about death. When he eventually died, this was meant to be read again. That never happened either, because I had nothing to do with this funeral. This wasn't part of any service. No one stood up and read it aloud, so it remained unheard and unseen, unfulfilled in its original purpose. But Manson gave me this stuff for a reason. Not to lock it away, not to sell it like everybody else does, not to turn it into some sort of rumor. The reason was to read it. So today, for the first time, that's what I'm going to do. My last will and judgment. Up here it says Cappy in her own handwriting. I give to man what he deserves himself, and what he has done to others shall be done to him. To live alone forever and ever, no death or relief from his own misery. Woman, I leave her unsatisfied, drifting into the infinite abyss of nothing with no end. People of this planet, I leave you no eyes to see with, for you have shut your eyes to love, no ears to hear with, for you have heard naught but your own laughter at God, no mouth to speak your lies, for with your mouth you have tricked only yourselves. No body to love with, for you have killed, cluttered, abused, and misused everything in this world. I promise you life forever. This you have always had. There is no death. You have been and will always be your world with no end. And now it's time to stop time. And everything must live with itself forever. No end. My soul I give to the children, whose love is before mother, dad, church, and school has formed their love into molds. Molds of soldiers for war against themselves. To the animals I give a job of taking care of God's children, showing them where to find food, showing them where to hide from danger, to bring them back to God's earth garden. To servants and slaves, I leave you scars and deep wells of sorrow carved in your souls by man's ignorance as vessels to be filled with God's love and joy. I give my sun to burn in the sky for its own experience. Its energy will never fail. The mountains, valleys, rivers, oceans belong to themselves. In this world I give my life, my peace. I've come from nothing, I am nothing, and wish to be one with nothing. Endless, to go nowhere, away from nothing, to nothing, for nothing, seeing nothing, hearing nothing, no movement, still. Peace, no sound, no experience, complete. One with the nothing to be. This thought I leave to self, to find itself, for itself, to be with itself. Manson. That's the record player recovered from Spahn's movie Ranch. I just wanted to give you a better look. The kind of look you don't really get through glass or a play card. And that was a statement written by Manson himself. His words, not the words spoken for him, not voices hovering over a casket, reaching for one last moment of attention. Both these are museum pieces. In most places, that's where they would live. But this isn't a museum. It's a garage. And honestly, that's where most of the real detective work and life gets done anyway. This is the Back Porch Tapes. Peace.